Welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is February 5th, 2022. I almost said 21. It is still 2022. February still seems weird. As usual, I'm recording from my home in Lake Country, British Columbia, Canada. I live here with my husband and my two kids who are 11 and 10. My 11-year-old is downstairs playing video games. My 10-year-old is at her Actors Club dress rehearsal, and my husband is out quadding today. So there is some background noise. It is a Saturday. Things got a little hectic yesterday and I wasn't able to record. So more about that later. Quick weather update. It is a beautiful day outside. It's making my lighting go all crazy so I'm getting a lot of natural light from this side, but I'm gonna enjoy the sunshine while it's here. So let's get started. Today I have what am I wearing? Finished objects, works in progress, next on my needles, events, and some chatter. Let's get started. What am I wearing? Today I am wearing the Apex shawl by Knox Mountain Knit Co., who are my friends Sasha and Willow. I don't know which one of them actually designed this pattern, but I love it. So Knox Mountain is a mountain here in Kelowna, which is where their name comes from. And all of their patterns are named from locations around the Okanagan. So it's really special to me because I live here and I know these places. I've been to these places. Like the Myra hat is from the Myra Canyons, and there's these huge rail trail, it used to be rail trestles, like bridges that go across these big openings. And, anyway, I could go on and on, but I do love this shawl. This yarn was specially designed by Gauge Dye Works for this shawl. This was a kit that I got. I didn't get it, well, I bought it, but my friend Willow, who designed the shawl, was going to Knit City where they were releasing the kits and asked her sister-in-law to stand in line for me because I couldn't go to get the shawl kit. And she did, which was super awesome. And and then I knit this right away. So I think I bought it in late 2017, and then I knit it like 2017 into 2018. And I actually was just doing my Google Photos for the day, and it shows you like this day 1 year ago, 2 years ago, blah, 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 all the way back. And in 2018, on February 5th, I was wearing this shawl. I had just finished it, I had blocked it, and I have a picture of myself in the bathroom, bathroom selfie with this shawl. So that is pretty amazing that I happened to pick this shawl out this morning on the day that I finished it 4 years ago. So there you go. The yarn, Gauge Dye Works. She makes amazing yarn. So she dyes it. I don't know if you can see this green, yellow, greeny color. So this is actually dyed specifically in this color pattern. It is one strand of yarn that you knit through the whole thing. And it fades out to these darker greens and then to the gray. And I love it. This is her MCN fingering shawl size. So it is a large shawl, like it goes all the way down to my pants, and the tails are very long, and it has cashmere in it. So the MCN is a merino cashmere nylon. So it's got structure from the nylon, it's got the memory from the wool, and the cashmere, I think it's so soft. I have quite a few shawls in this yarn, and I have, I think, 2 more in stash to be knit when I get inspired to knit them. Maybe that's what I should do. I just had a thought. I should start like every year, pick like the oldest yarn in my stash and either decide to get rid of it or actually knit something out of it. Because I have it all cataloged in Ravelry. I know when I got it approximately, so I could just like knit my oldest stuff. That'll never happen. New and shiny is always more interesting. So that is that. I finished it in 2018, and I wear it lots. A Although I do find that this color palette doesn't necessarily go with a lot of things, a lot of shirts that I've purchased. Obviously black, it goes very nicely, a nice contrast. So it doesn't get a high rotation, but I do enjoy wearing it. Also because the tails are so long, it stays on nicely, which is also important to me. So let's move on to finished objects. First up, I have to reach down and get him. I have this little guy. His hand keeps going the wrong way. He is adorable. So, bit of a saga here. This pattern is the Never Not Gnoming by Imagine Landscapes, and this is the smallest gnome. So, I was working on the hat. I didn't like how it was looking. I think I didn't do as many rows as you're supposed to in between before you do the increases as you work down the hat. So I ripped it back after last week's episode and started again. In my haste, I just flipped to the first page that said hat, which was actually for this guy. So then when I finished the hat, I'm like, this seems very small for the size of gnome that I was planning on knitting. And then I realized that I was knitting the smallest one. So I'd already finished the hat, so I just picked up the stitches and I went with it. Yeah, I definitely learned some things. You can probably see on the back here, I've got like some weird stitches going on. The beard is kind of crooked, the nose, I don't know, his body could use some shaping, but he is super cute and I am very happy with my color choices. The arms were amazing. I don't know if you guys have done this trick before, so if you knit I-cord, often there is like one spot where you work the yarn from the other side it just has a bit more of a gap between the stitches than the other ones. If you just take that I-cord and go like this in your hands, it evens it all out immediately and you can't even tell where that stitch was. Wool is amazing. So I used all Knit Picks Stroll for this. Hollyberry, ash, and white. I think it's just called white. I had hoped that it was actually a cream that I had, but it is not. It is white. But I think it works okay. You know, I kind of wish it was off-white, but he's cute. So this is Nicholas. G-N-I, yeah, Nicholas. So there we go. So maybe this month I will knit from the same pattern, but either the medium or the large, give myself more time as well. I did this right at the end of January. I was able to submit it for January for the Year of Gnomes through Imagine Landscapes website, but he is super cute. Let's see if he'll sit. No, he's not gonna sit there. I'll put him in my bowl. So that's the first finished object. The next finished object I finished just on Thursday night. Okay, so this is the Throwing It Back. This was a mystery knit along, but all the clues have been released. The pattern has been released on Instagram. It's free. I'm not free to look at it. It's not spoilering anything anymore unless you haven't been on the interwebs. So I am going to show you all of this glorious giant piece. It is not blocked. Only maybe 90% of the ends are woven in, so, you know. My goodness, I'm just so excited about this. I'm not even talking properly. Okay, the pattern is Throwing It Back by Cozy Up Knits, and this is their mystery knit along that they've done for the last 5 years in January. The yarn, let's go over the yarn, is Ginger Snap That in her Squishy DK. And this was a kit that she put together. So it's gray and teal, so different shades of gray and teal. And yeah, so here we are. And like I said, I have not blocked it, but it will, like I'm gonna block it nice and wide. So these are the eyeball stitches. And then we have this fun, this is just knits and purls, but it makes almost like looks like a cable, and some eyelet stitches. Okay, and this section was so cool, and they basically gave you like a template to fill out whatever you wanted. I decided to just go with some garter stripes on there with the different colors, and I really like how it kind of ties it all together. Some zigzags, kind of arrows, more of those mock cables, these fan stitches, and then back around to the ribbing lace. Whew. It is so big, so big. I was trying to, and Thursday night, I finished it at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm sitting in the dark watching TV with my husband sitting, he wasn't like right next to me, but he was maybe like a foot away. And so I went to put this on and I didn't realize how long the end was. And I went to like, just like kind of throw it over my shoulder and I whipped him in the eyeball. I really did. I like just full on face full of scarf. He had to go deal with his eyeball. I don't know, got fluff in there. It's a lot longer than I thought, but yes, it is lovely. Like I said, the ends are not done. Most of these ends are all woven in. I use the weave and steven method, and then I block it, and then I trim them once it's blocked. That way they have wiggle room and they don't start falling out when I'm blocking it. So most of them are woven in, but not all of them. So I'll have to check which ones are woven in, to be honest. Weave them all in before I block it. Maybe I'll do that today because I am free, not doing anything until 3 o'clock when I got to take Cooper to her birthday party. So I'm recording and I'm going to process the video and I'm going to knit this afternoon. It's going to be lovely. So there we go. Mystery knit along, finished on time. Super happy. Super happy with this. I highly recommend this pattern. Yeah, 5 weeks. 5 weeks and you have a huge scarf. So yay! And it's DK weight, which I don't think I have any shawls or scarves in DK weight. So that'll be nice to have something a bit thicker, a bit cozier, wrap it around, snuggle up in it. And with all the different stitch patterns, you could put like a different part of the front and it has a totally different feel to it. So that is it for finished objects. Let's move on to works in progress. All right, on to whips. I do feel like I'm getting my whips a little bit more under control. I was joking with my husband that I have now had at least one finished object for last week's episode and this week's episode. And he's like, well, you should keep that train going and make sure you finish one of your projects every week. And I was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, well, maybe I could do that. And no, that's not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen. But I will in my mid row. Oh no, it's just all tangled. Oh, goodness me. So my first work in progress is the dust of snow. So I have done a couple rows on this and I wound up the next couple balls of yarn so I can keep going, but my throwing it back got a lot of love this week because I was so excited about the last clue, and there we are. So getting through the pinks. This is the next color. It is, I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but it is a very light, what I call a ballet pink, but it is very light, but it does have, I don't know, you can't really see it, but there's some just little bit speckles of orange and hot pink. And then this is the next one. So we're working our way right into the blues, and this one has some speckles of like it's almost like a raspberry color. Like this color, I could knit like a whole sweater out of this. Probably wouldn't look the best on me, but this is beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so that is the next two for the Dust of Snow. The pattern is Dust of Snow by Helen Stewart, and it's from her Knit Vent from 2021, but she does, no, it's not from 2021. It's from, I don't know, 2019 maybe. It's not from 2021, but the yarn that I'm knitting it out of is the Advent from Ginger Snap from 2021, which was last Christmas. And yeah, I opened this yarn on Vlogmas every day, and now I'm knitting it into a shawl. This is a long-term project. I don't expect this to be done anytime soon, but I also don't want to completely forget about it. So I'm going to keep talking about it every week and make little bits of progress here and there. Next up, I have Mike's Advent socks. And can you see this? That's it. We're at the end of the ball of sock yarn. Why are his feet so gigantic? They're not really that much bigger than mine. Anyway, it's partly because of the depth of the heel. But so I did 13 colors for the foot. I measured it against his other socks. That is the correct size for his foot. It looks huge. I say that about all his socks. And then the way that you do the foot, and then you pick up, or don't pick up, you start knitting all the stitches. So these rounds up until this light green were much wider than the rest of the sock. So like by a good inch there. So they're not as thick, and so that would have taken more of the yarn. He doesn't really like shorty socks, but I do have lots of this pine color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the next sock, which I have already started. So there's the toe in the pine and just working away on the stripes. And it'll be really easy to measure because I'll just do the 13 stripes and then I'll put in the heel and we're good to go, and it will be exactly the same as this one. And then I will put them onto one needle and just knit the green basically until I can knit no more. So yeah, that ball is getting done. Yeah, so the yarn that I'm using, the dark green, is a Knit Picks Stroll in Pine, and the Advent yarn is from the Cozy Knitter. And this is her 2021 Advent 24 stripe. And yeah, it's so funny because with the pine color, they look so different than mine. So different. And I was just watching the Forest City Knit Girls, and they all knit this same yarn over Christmas, and their socks, like, they look similar, but they look, because everyone used a slightly different color for the toes, heels, and cuffs, or they did a different direction, or like everybody's socks look just a little bit different. They're not exactly the same. So it's really cool how the same skein of yarn can be worked up in different ways. So there are those, just working away on those. Next up, I have my Star Shower, and I actually worked on it this week. Okay, which is the front. There's the front. So it does look like the start of a crescent shawl, and that is how it's supposed to look. But it will be a cowl in the end. Eventually I will connect it and knit in the round. So yeah, we've got these star stitches and some garter. It is a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to give away too much. And of course this will block out a bit more, so you'll get a bit more of that effect on the star stitches there. But yeah, took a bit to like get going on the pattern. The pattern is Star Shower by Hilary Smith Kelly. And yeah, she's got lots of good patterns and quite a few of this kind of style of cowl. So if I like this one, then I've got other ones to kind of turn to. And yeah, I'm super excited about this. I think I've finally got it going. The pattern's coming along. I get it. I can kind of work on it while doing other stuff and not have to like read line by line, note by note, exactly how I'm supposed to do it. So moving on that. This yarn is a Knit Picks gloss in fingering, which has some silk content in it. And the color is Kanai. Kanai? I don't know how you say that. But I will put it on the screen and it will be linked down below along with everything else that I talk about. So anything you're looking for links, down below. And if I didn't put it down below, just message me. I will get you the details. Perfect. So there we are. It is like a teal color. It's not quite as green. Some lights it shows up green, but it is quite a good teal color. All right. What else do I have left? I did a round or two on my market bag. This is the Eileen bag by Hannah Mason, and it doesn't look like much, but yeah, so there it is. Just keep working on it. I don't know what to do with this, because I really want the bag, but I really hate knitting with this yarn. I do not enjoy it. It's a difficult process. It's hard on my hands, and I might just get rid of the yarn. I have 4 balls of it, and I just really don't like knitting with it. Someone suggested once that I skein it and wash it first, and then it will soften up a bit, and then knit with it, and then as you wash it more, it'll soften up even more, but just that initial wash will help with that kind of stiffness. But the yarn fibers themselves, they don't have the give like wool does, so it will be softer, but it won't have that give to kind of doing the knit stitch and moving stitches along and stuff. It might be softer, but it's still not going to be squishy like wool. So I don't know. We'll see. I might just give up and move on. There's no point in knitting things that you're not enjoying, right? Right. Okay. That is it for works in progress. Next up is next on my needles. All right, so I have talked about before knitting some DK socks with a friend of mine, and she was able to come over to my house last weekend, the weekend before, I don't remember when, a while ago, and we looked at the yarn and we decided which color we liked and picked out some skeins of the DK that I have in the sock sets. And what I ended up choosing was this one, which I think is called Hansel. Anyway, so it's minis, and this is only half. I have a whole nother, this is half the set, so this is all set for one sock. So this is the mini for, I think I'll just do toes and the heel, and then the main sock will be in this. I am gonna do toe up, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with them, but I have these. Where are they now? Everything's in the bottom of the bag. It's another bag that I made myself just with some scrap fabric that I had. So super cute. Just a nice little sock bag. These are some flexi flips. I don't know if you can see them. So they're a shorter needle, and then they have the cord, just a little bit of cord in the middle. And basically you have your sock on the 2 needles, and then this flexible part is kind of where the back of the stitches are, and you're knitting with these 2. Does that make sense? It works pretty good, and I don't usually get ladders with them, but it takes a bit to kind of get set up with them. Does that make sense? So it's good though. They're totally useful, and these are a 3 millimeter, which is a US 2, I think. But they're a true 3 millimeter, because some US 2s are like a 2.5, but these are a true 3 millimeter. So anyway, I am going to knit the socks on those. I also have a 2.75 for the cuff for the ribbing, and yeah, so those will be cast on soon. My friend that is also knitting a pair of socks is a very new knitter, and keeps talking about wanting to knit socks. Some yarn store, I don't know which one, or maybe it was maybe she just did it herself. I don't know. She got like a light fingering weight as like a first project for knitting. She gave up very quickly because it was very difficult to knit. She gave me the yarn and the needles, and eventually I will knit her a pair of socks out of it, because it is really cool colors and it will be super fun. but I thought this using DK weight is a great way to get into socks and figure out how to knit socks, and it doesn't take as long because it's DK weight instead of sock weight or fingering weight. So there are those. And the other thing that is next on my needles is I actually swatched for my hinterland. So here's my swatch. I know, it's not that big. It's fine. It's fine. So there we are. I swatched, I washed it, I laid it to dry. So it is all ready to be measured. I measured it before I washed it, just to compare. And I was like 4 stitches off. So I'll be knitting a different size because I do like this fabric. I don't know how well you guys can see, but you can't, like, it's loose, but you can't see through it, even through one layer of fabric. Like, I could see a bit of light through it, but I always wear something under my sweater anyways, so I think this is gonna make a nice fabric for a sweater. And I have all the needle sizes, so here is the ball of yarn. Yeah. So I'm gonna measure it again, make sure exactly what my gauge is, and then go ahead and cast this on. So, but lovely pattern, hinterland. There are many sizes. So if I need to make one of the bigger sizes, and because I have more stitches, then that's what I will do, because it's a lovely pattern and she is very size inclusive. So again, that's Hinterland by Jennifer Steinglass, which I'm knitting this for the Northern Knits podcast, their 5-year anniversary knit along. And I doubt that I will finish it in time, but I'm going to start it now and I will finish it whenever I finish it. Maybe I will. Who knows? Who knows? And I have one more thing that is next on my needles. And this lovely bowl of yarn has my stationery set from the Yarn Enabler. And this is actually 2 sets. So you get these 3 are the pencil, and then this is the paper. Oh my goodness, there's like some of my hair woven into it. Oh goodness. And you can probably see on this one that there's like a bit of red for that, like the margin line on your paper. So it's super cool. My plan is for these, so Cooper has 2 teachers in his French program, and my plan is to make fingerless mitts from, what is that? It's called the Dream Fingerless Mitts from Marsha. I don't remember her designer name, but again, it'll all be here. So the Dream Fingerless Mitts, I tested them for her last year, the year before, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm gonna make one hand a pencil and one hand a piece of paper. And the nice thing about these fingerless mitts is they have like a big cuff, so you can fold it up over your fingers, but then you can also fold it down and you can text and type and all that kind of stuff. And they're good for driving and whatnot. And they're younger people, they're in their 20s. So I think they'll appreciate some cool fingerless mitts. And being teachers, I thought that that would be good. But maybe it's a little too on the nose. I don't know. So we'll see. Put your comments down below. Should I knit pencil and paper fingerless mitts for Cooper's teachers? My plan is to knit for Taylor's teacher a pair of socks. So she's been Taylor's teacher for 2 years, and she's also friends of ours. Her kids also go to the school and are in my kids' classes. Well, some of them are in my kids' classes, so they are also friends of ours. And she is an amazing teacher and very supportive of everything, and very just an amazing teacher. And she absolutely deserves a pair of socks. So actually we're going over there today. That's where Cooper's birthday party is. And I am going to inadvertently ask her what her foot size is so I can knit her a pair of socks. I have until June. I hate deadline knitting, but I do this to myself all the time. I'm like, oh, it'd be great to knit for this. Yeah, so that is my plan. Maybe I should knit her some DK socks. That would be way quicker. Thoughts? More next on my needles. For next week, probably. Because, you know, I'm going to finish a project a week, right? No. That's it for next on my needles. Next up is events. for events this week, we are coming to the close of the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party. So not this weekend, but next weekend is the Super Bowl. And then she gives you a couple extra days to submit all of your projects, because sometimes you need to block something or wait for it to dry, or you just don't have a chance to take a picture. So she gives a couple extra days, and and then that will be over. You guys don't have to hear about it anymore. I still have to submit a few projects. I'm not quite sure which ones I've submitted and not, but there is a handy spreadsheet that shows you everyone's entries, what points you're at, and what you've entered and stuff, so you can kind of check on what you have entered and if there's things left to not enter. I don't think I'm going to finish any more of these projects for that knit along, so I might just go ahead and enter all my stuff now so that it's done and I don't have to think about it anymore because I don't want to forget. So that is that. The next one is that I've already talked about, the Northern Knits Podcast 5-year anniversary knit along. The theme this year is wood. There's a couple other themes, which is I'm knitting the Hinterland sweater, and which is color work and has trees on it. So trees or wood, it fits. It's a very loosey-goosey knit along. If you can convince them that that it has something to do with wood, I'm sure they would accept it. And they are doing actually seasonal knit alongs throughout this year. They just announced that on their latest podcast, I think. So till the spring equinox, which I think is March 21st, is this knit along, and then we'll switch over to the spring season, summer, and then fall. So every 3 months there'll be a new knit along, which is super fun to try and see how you can fit what you want to work on into that, and if it doesn't fit, make it work. You wear it in the spring. It works. So that is that. The Yarniacs podcast, they're having their self-indulgent knit along, where you knit something that is, for you, that you're really enjoying the knitting of, and that you really going to enjoy the finished product. For that one, I am knitting the Star Shower, and I've been dreaming about that cowl for a long time. I wear cowls a lot, so it's something that I will get a lot of use out of. I had wet hair last night, and I just put a shawl on, and just not having my wet hair touch the back of my neck, and it just kept me so much warmer and so much more comfortable. So cowls for the win. That cowl is also part of the Imagine Landscapes Imagine Knitting cowl, and that is where you've been dreaming of something, or you've been thinking about something, or you just thought of it right now, and you can enter that in their 3-month knit along for imaginary knitting. So something maybe that you've been thinking about, that you've been imagining knitting in your head, or some sort of yarn that you really wanted to work with, anything like that. And they are also the ones that are hosting the Year of Gnomes. So you're going to hear about them a lot. They are an audio podcast out of Manitoba. I had to think about that one. And they're 2 sisters. Really awesome audio podcast. Also, Sarah's gnomes are amazing, and I think everyone should knit at least one gnome. So that is it for events. On to chatter. Well, I don't have very much to chatter about this week, other than it has been a very busy week. My daughter's show is tomorrow. They're doing Mary Poppins with her musical theater group, and they are at dress rehearsal all day today, as I mentioned at the top of this episode. And so it's going to be a tiring weekend, mostly for her, but just being the supportive parent, making sure she has everything she needs. She's practiced her lines, practiced the dances, all that kind of stuff has kind of been a whole family effort, and really excited we actually get to go in person this year and see the show. Last year they were unable to have parents watch the show, so they recorded it and put it up on a private link that we could watch it, and there was like a week timeline that we could watch it in. Today's show will also be recorded for those parents that can't make it, or grandparents out of town or stuff like that, and but that's like an extra purchase. And her grandparents, my in-laws, and us and my son are all going to watch her tomorrow in person. We have a table right up front, and I am so excited. So that will be super, and also kind of a relief to have that over and done with. Her next show doesn't start rehearsals until April, so we have a bit of a reprieve from constant music in the house. Well, not music, because we listen to music all the time, but her singing the same song over and over again. So, I can spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious now. I'm not going to, but I can totally do it. Also, last week, Taylor was at a friend's house and they had an online painting class. I will put a picture in. I can't remember if I put a picture in last week or not. But yeah, she super enjoyed that, and it was super fun that they did this painting, and they all, looked similar, but they have their own take on it, and it's a cute little wolf, and it's super fun. And she also made a copper bracelet at school, so and they used like a blowtorch to make it green, and just amazing things that they do. Like I was saying before, her teacher is amazing. She packs so much into their days, but the kids, not too much that they're so overworked, and so many fun things that they have an outdoor classroom that they use all the time, and doing multiplication of pine cones that they see, and just working all of that kind of stuff into their day-to-day things, and and the kids really love it too. And anyway, she is just an amazing teacher, and they made copper bracelets. So cool. I will try to put some pictures in at the end. And the last thing is, it has been warm enough out to do outside fires and to kind of sit around outside, enjoying the fresh air around a fire, and just hang out with friends. So that has been super awesome, especially in these times where, not to get too down, but the COVID numbers are just ramping up around here. There are thousands of people that currently have COVID, and I get it. It's not as serious as when it was first on the scene, but it is still something that is scary. And my in-laws are immunocompromised and lung compromised, so it's just really scary for us. So being able to see friends outside where we have less risk of catching anything, of course our friends would never purposely give us anything, but there's just always a risk. There's always a risk. You can go to the store and get it. You can, the kids might get it at school, and I might get it, walking to wherever. I don't know. My husband might get it at his work because he works at a college. So, but total tangent. We've been enjoying getting outside. My husband is actually outside currently up Postal Mountain, and there's tracks on the quad so you can go through the snow. It's like they're like a triangle kind of track, snow track, like you would get on the back of a Ski-Doo, but it is replacing the quad wheels. So they're not ours. He's borrowing a machine from somebody else, but it's fun, and it's not too cold out today, so it should be super fun for him. Hopefully he takes some pictures or video or something, and I will put that in at the end if he does, or maybe next week. I don't know, or he might not. Who knows? Who knows where this will lead? All right, well, I'm going to start rambling now, so I'm going to end this podcast. And I'm going to make myself a pot of tea, and I'm going to sit in my chair and knit until I have to take Cooper to a birthday party. So that is that. I'm going to call this an episode, call it done for the day. I hope you have a great week knitting, and we'll see you next time. Bye.